जी
नमः
Acharya ji.
ओम
सदाशिवसमारम्भं शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम्
अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां
वन्दे
वन्दे
गुरुपरम्पराम्
ओम सहना
ॐ
भवतु
सहना भवतु
सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं
वीर्यं
करवावहै
करवावहै
तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः So I'll just mute all of you. Okay, we had finished the 11th mantra of the second chapter, second section. So we are on the last mantra. We will chant them together. Brahmai Vedam Amritam Purastad.
वेदामृतं पुरस्तात्
Brahma Paschad Brahma Dakshinataschottarena.
पश्चात् ब्रह्मा दक्षिणस्तरेण
Brahma Dakshinastashchottarena.
ब्रह्मा दक्षिणस्तरेण
Adaschordhvam cha prasrutam. Brahmai Vedam Vishwamidam Varishtham. So this is the last mantra of this particular section. A very, very profound and deep sloka. Mantra, not sloka. In the Veda, all Vedic slokas are called mantras. We use the term sloka for other texts. Okay, now in the last mantra, it was said that Atma cannot be known. Why? Because it is the very knower. It is not a matter for knowing or seeing or perceiving. It's a matter for claiming as I am that Atma. And we said that whoever knows the Atman knows Brahman. So once I have claimed or I have understood and begun to claim that I am the Atma, what are my words going to be? Atma is Brahman, we said, and I am Atma. And therefore, I am Brahman. Now Shruti says that not only are you Brahman, because in the previous section, it was said that Brahman is Jagat Karanam, and therefore if I am saying I am Brahman, I am also Jagat Karanam. Right? For example, when you are in a dream, who has projected the dream? You, the waker, have projected the entire dream world, and you, the waker, have entered the dream world as the dreamer. But you don't know that, right? So in the dream world, as a dreamer, you have no idea that the whole thing, including your dream body, is your own projection. The Shastra says that is the analogy you should be considering when you look at this Vyavaharika world. When do you know that the dream was not real and it was your projection? When you wake up. And therefore, if you keep that in mind, you will know that you, the waker, were the creator, the cause, the karanam of the dream world. And keeping this example in mind, you should accept that you are the karanam for this Vyavaharika world also, because you are still asleep in the Vyavaharika world. And therefore, you don't realize that your Paramarthika Swarupam, your higher nature. In that higher nature, you are the waker. But in this lower nature, in this world, you are the dreamer. And you will know that only when you wake up. So all this creation is what? Is you, Brahman only, the higher nature only. But there is an additional component. There is a form to which you are given a name. But we know that there is no ornament apart from the gold. And therefore there is no Nama Rupa apart from Brahman. Ornaments can never be a threat to the gold. The world can never be a threat to me. Because I am the Karanam and the whole world is the Nama Rupa Karyam, the product which is only Nama Rupa. It is not separate from me. There is no other entity. And when there is no other entity, when I have learned to understand that I, Brahman, I am not only the Nimitta Karanam for this universe, I am also the very Upadana Karanam of this universe. And therefore, there is no universe which is different from me. When there is no second, when there is no second entity, who can threaten me? I have nothing to be afraid of. And so, this mantra is saying, Brahma eva idam amritam purastat. So you can rearrange those words tightly. Amritam Brahma eva idam purastat. So idam purastat. Idam is referring to Jagat, the world. Purastat means in front of me. So it's Sanskrit word saying front of me. Idam purastat. This world which I am seeing, which is in front of me, Brahma eva amritam, is the immortal Brahman alone. And similarly, paschat, what is at my back. In front of me, idam is there. That idam is nothing but Brahman. Paschat Brahma. Which Brahman? Amritam Brahma. What is at my back is also Amritam Brahma. Dakshinataha cha uttarena. So Dakshinatas chottarena, broken up as Dakshinataha cha uttarena. To the right also, what is appearing is Brahman. To the left also, what is appearing is Brahman. To my right and to my left. And don't take the dictionary meaning. Dakshinam means south, Uttaran means north. Why do we take right and left? Because, anybody?
There can't be a reference point for the Disha here.
No,
it's
sir,
because when
you
we are
said if we
standing,
stand facing south,
sun, when we are
uh,
standing facing the sun, then the right hand
east,
points
east.
towards the south. When we are
Right,
facing
right.
the east and the left.
When you are doing any
Correct,
worship,
correct.
you are facing the east.
East, yes, yes.
And therefore, to your right is which direction? South.
South.
And to your left is the north. And therefore, that here Dakshinataha means to my right and to my left. Okay. So remember the words Dakshina and Uttara are very often used in Shastram for right and left. Because the very main idea is that whenever you do any worship, you are facing the sun, you are facing the east, and therefore to the right and the left. Okay, so Dakshinataha Brahman, Uttarena Brahman. What sort of Brahman? Immortal. Amritam Brahman alone. And Adhoscha Urdhvamcha. Adaha is down, Urdhvam is up. Below me also Brahman is there. Above me also Brahman is there. And Prasritam. Prasritam means in between also. So therefore, in all directions, right, left, up, down, and in between also, if I have left out anything, what is there? Brahmaiva idam Vishwam idam Varishtham. This Brahman alone is there, which is what? Varishtham, the exalted Brahman, Vishwam eva. This universe itself is the exalted Brahman only. And this universe, Vishwam, covers everything. right? Everything that is born is covered. So not just the physical and subtle bodies, but everything that is born out of these bodies also, that is present in these bodies, your thoughts, your emotions, the way you talk, the way you think, your thinking patterns, everything is Brahman alone, right? And you will see that Krishna said in the 10th chapter, the same thing was said by Krishna. If you remember the words, Bhavanti bhava bhutanam matta eva pratagvidaha. All the different characteristics of every human being, not every human being, bhutanam, of every being, they are matta eva, born from me alone. So, pritag vidaha bhavaha, that is all the different types of behavior and attitudes and emotions and thoughts. Matta eva matta eva bhavanti, is born from me alone. So essentially, what is he saying? Every object is only Brahman. There is nothing other than Brahman. And this is a view that we should begin to have. Sarvam Brahman. Of course, in any vision, any Vyavaharika object that you see, you can add a mental qualification. This is Brahman in the form of whatever object I am seeing. So, qualified by the form of the object. For example, if you see a scorpion, right? What will you say? When you see a scorpion at this stage,
Brahman in the form of a scorpion.
yes, you should say this is Satyam Brahman, qualified by the scorpion body, right?
Mithya
Now,
body.
qualified by the scorpion body.
Hmm.
Now, if you, oh, this is a very good question over here. You don't love the scorpion, right? So let us say that you see a nice, your pet dog instead. So you will say this is Brahman, qualified, this is Satyam Brahman, because Satyam means what? Existence principle. An existence principle you can recognize. Therefore, you say this is Satyam Brahman, qualified by the body of this dog whom I love. And because you love that dog, whenever you see the dog, one of the three vrittis comes in your mind: Priya, Pramoda, and Moda. And those vrittis are the reflecting mediums for Ananda. Therefore, not only can you say that this is Satyam Brahman qualified by dog body, by my dog body, you can also say this is Ananda Brahman qualified by the dog body. Okay. Now the question is, when it comes to the scorpion, scorpions don't generate too much Ananda in most people, right? And sometimes people hate scorpion. Then, how do I make the statement? This is, you are hating, right? Disliking. So then, what is the statement to be made? Is it that Ananda Brahman which causes the disturbance in your mind, which causes the hate or the dislike?
Acharyaji, is it the Anubhava or the Viparita Bhavana? Because
It is the Viparita Bhavana only, right? But how can you say that Brahman, which is in the form of the scorpion body, is causing me dislike? It's a very subtle point, okay? So I would like one of you to answer it. Think about it.
Acharyaji, because we are scared that it will harm us
You're getting there. So
physically, it will harm us. So that's why we have the dvesha.
Raviji, may I try?
please, Nataraj.
See, that is a particular time when you have to realize that there are two components to you. One is the RC part, the mind part, and then you are the consciousness part.
Very
The
good.
likes and dislikes and the hatred arise in the RC part. It is not in the Brahman.
Yes. And there is a further point to this, that really speaking, what is it which disturbs you? What is it which you dislike? It is that fear in your mind which you dislike, right? Because everybody likes what? A quiet, undisturbed mind, especially Vedantics. And therefore, when you see the scorpion, and as Natarajan says, it is a threat to you because the RC consists of the RM, the body also, and you're afraid it will bite the body. Therefore, the dislike that you have, the hatred for the scorpion that you have, is not being caused by the scorpion. It is the disturbance in your mind because you think that the scorpion will bite me. It is the very thought in your mind because of which you are afraid of the scorpion. That thought is causing the disturbance, and you hate that disturbance. And the hatred of the disturbance of your mind, you are transferring onto the scorpion. And therefore you say, I hate the scorpion. You cannot hate the scorpion. Scorpion is Brahman, you are Brahman. But the disturbance in your mind, which you dislike, because you like undisturbed mind, you are transferring that onto the scorpion. Therefore, that hate of yours for the scorpion is ultimately an expression of love of yourself, love of the undisturbed mind. So, love of non-disturbance, which is Ananda, and therefore you can say that that disturbance caused by Brahman is not caused by Brahman. It is caused by Ajnana. The idea that the scorpion is not Brahman. The idea that I am not Brahman. If I was Brahman, I would be very disturbed by the scorpion trying to bite me because I am not the body, right? But the Ajnanam, because of which the body is put in front, that is the cause for the non-disturbance. And this is what was meant when we say that everything is Nama Rupa only. Brahman alone is Satyam. Everything else is a adhyasa, a superimposition upon it. And Shankara in this chapter, he ends with a very beautiful statement. He says, now I'll quote to you the Sanskrit words because it's a very nice way he has phrased it. And I'll explain each word. He says, Abrahma Pratyaya. Pratyaya is a thought, right? Abrahma Pratyaya. Abrahma means not Brahman. So all the thought of anything that is Abrahman, not Brahman, Sarvam Avidya Matre. Everything that you perceive as not Brahman is because of Avidya Matram, only because of Avidya. The scorpion which you are afraid of because you are perceiving that scorpion as not Brahman. The scorpion body has been superimposed upon Brahman. And that superimposition is because of Avidya only. How? He gives an example. Rajvam eva sarpa pratyaya. Like you superimposed the snake on the rope. And he adds that Brahma ekam paramartha satyam. That Brahman is the only paramarthika satyam. Iti Veda Anushasanam. This is teaching of the Veda. Very beautiful statement. Brahma eka paramartham satyam iti Veda Anushasanam. The teaching of the entire Veda is only one. Brahman alone exists. Nothing else exists. Nothing else exists. With this, the chapter is over. It's a very nice chapter. Any questions?
Acharya, just one clarification. When
Yeah.
we are talking of the front, back, right, left, below, above, it is with respect to the space, the direction, simply that, no other,
It is just,
like a
yeah, it's
lokas or.
basically, no, it's just basically meaning that everywhere only Brahman exists. So the vision of Sarvam Brahman, that is being expressed in these sort of mantras. Okay.
Acharya, while
Yeah.
going through the earlier verse, I was going through that word term Sakshi. So when we seem to be using the words Atma and Brahman almost interchangeably, and but still understand that it is Ekam Brahma. So I was just wondering if Sakshi is also one.
There is a, there is a very technical difference between Sakshi, Atma and Brahman. So anyway, it's better to explain it now. The word Atma, all of us think Atma means something mysterious. The word Atma in Sanskrit means what?
Self.
I.
I myself.
The word
I.
Atma means I. So, Aham Brahmasmi is the same as Atma is equal to Brahman.
Ji.
Okay, so the Atma and Brahman are used interchangeably. If at all you want to distinguish, you have to say that Atma you can use in the beginning stages. Atma you can use as I am Brahman. Okay, but when you consider that Brahman is everything, then that becomes superfluous. The point is, why do you use Sakshi? So you will see in other Upanishads also that Brahman is recognizable or Atma is recognizable as Chit only in your own mind. Now, if you remember Tattva Bodha, RC is equal to RM plus OC. Correct. Now, RM is the mind. Now, if there has to be a RC there, remember that RC is always accompanied by OC. Okay, there is no RC possible without OC being present in the mind. Because the very equation is what? RM plus OC is equal to RC. That is the equation. Therefore, the moment you say RC, you have postulated the RM as well as the OC, the original consciousness, which is Atma or Brahman, as well as the mind you are utilizing together when you say RC. I am Jiva means that is already there. Now, that Brahman or that Atman, that consciousness principle which you recognize as I am in your own mind, which means you can say that Brahman present in your mind or recognizable in your mind, that Brahman is called Sakshi. The word Sakshi cannot be used for all-pervading Brahman. The word Sakshi is being used for that Brahman which is present in the mind, because of which the RC happens.
Ji, so there are several sakshis.
Yes, there are several, as many jivas are there, that many sakshis are there.
Yeah, even the meaning is that witness. So they can.
Witness, right? It is a witness. And this is the very, very frequent confusion because a lot of people confuse Sakshi with all-pervading Brahman. That you should not.
So it's inside that. It's inside that for that
When you
individual.
use these terms, you have to be very, very careful because Brahman is both inside and outside. That is why if at all you have to say that Brahman inside you, that is Sakshi. Which should not be understood to mean that Brahman is enclosed. It is to be understood as that Brahman which you can recognize inside you as the consciousness principle. You can recognize it outside you as the existence principle, but not as the consciousness principle. That consciousness principle recognizable in your own mind is Sakshi. So to that extent, it is enclosed, but not really. That's why the difficulty in Vedanta. the non-inclusive nature of words.
But it is still the RC who's able to recognize this Sakshi.
That's like saying that you can use moonlight to recognize sunlight. You see?
Acharya-ji.
Yeah.
So the term Sakshi is limited at the Vyashti level only, or it is at the Samashti as well?
Sakshi is the Western level. Because it is for the Jiva, the one who is conscious that I am. See, why it is important, because as long as Sakshi is there, the Jivatvam is there. Your Jivahood continues as long as Sakshi is there. But without clinging on to the Sakshi, without holding the Sakshi, you cannot understand that you are Brahman. Therefore, even after Jnanam, throughout your Nididhyasanam stage, you have to hold on to the Sakshi. Because it is Brahman only, but limited. The appearance is limited as a Jiva. Only when through long, Nididhyasanam, you are beginning to shed the idea that you are a Jiva, then only can you let go of Sakshi. It's a very important concept. Without Sakshi, Jnanam itself is dependent upon Sakshi because it's a witness principle, right? It is a consciousness principle present in your body. But after knowing that you are Brahman, that Sakshihood still remains for a very long time. Only through constant Nididhyasanam, when that Sakshihood begins to get weakened, then only can you let go. And practically, you cannot let go as long as the body is alive, because practically Sakshi is required for every function that you do. Without this Sakshihood, you can't even open your eyes. You see how difficult the final portions are. The grasping that you are Brahman is being done by the RC. That is the problem. And as I said, it's like using the sunlight, the moonlight, to say that I'm looking at the sun. But there is only tool available to you.
But it's also like the moon knows that the moonlight doesn't belongs to the sun, and
Yes, it's as
that
if
is
the
understood.
conscious moon which knows that this light is not mine, it is that of the sun.
When you explain, I feel that I understand it.
See, the problem is that you need to, all these things, they are contrary to your daily experience. Daily experiences are contrary to this. And therefore, you have to keep soaking in it for a very long time. That's why we say, even after Jnanam, you need Shravanam regularly. After Jnanam, Shravanam becomes Nididhyasanam. There should be never a time in your life when you don't spend a couple of hours a day on Shravanam. If you're serious about Vedanta, 2 hours a day has to be on Shravanam. It can't be Saturday to Saturday, Sunday to Sunday. It won't work. And a lot of people have that problem in our classes because, for them, priority is life, not Vedanta. Okay.
Thank you, Acharya ji.
Very beautifully explained, Acharya.
So let us go to the third Mundaka. Tritiya Mundaka, or as Tritiya Mundake Pratama Khandaha. Third chapter, first section. We'll read. Dva Suparna Sayuja Sakhayaha
Dvasuparna Yuja Sakhaya
Samanam Vriksham Parishashvajate
Samanam Vriksham Parishasvajate
Tayoranyah Pipalam Swadvati
Yoranyah Pipalam Svati
Anashnan anyo bichakshiti.
Anashnanano vicharo akshiti.
Okay. So now comes an example. And this chapter now talks about the sadgunas, the qualities, the virtues needed for jnanam to be maintained. Right? So remember that you need sadhana chatushtayam to come to jnanam. But so there are two things. One is karma yoga, upasana yoga. What is the result? Sadhana chatushtayam. And once sadhana chatushtayam is there, then karma and upasana can be dropped. Right? But having got this the sadguna, the values, the attributes needed, jnanam will be there, jnanam can be obtained, jnanam can be assimilated. But even post jnanam, the sadgunas cannot be dropped. The values cannot be dropped. So people who say that the rules don't apply to jnanis, they haven't understood. Jnani cannot do anything at all, because once the jnani is understood that he is everyone, his nature itself becomes such that he cannot do anything to harm others. And therefore, sadgunas become part of his life. Sadgunas can never be dropped. The idea is that. Okay. So here, the Upanishad is talking about a pippal tree, a huge tree, and there are two birds sitting on the tree. Okay, so you can see Tva, Sapurna, Supurna. There are two birds sitting on this tree. Now, Suparna can have two meanings. Parna can be a wing of the bird. Okay. So Suparna can be beautiful wing. The word Su is got the meaning of Shobhanam, right? So Suparna can be beautiful, Shobhanam, Parna, beautiful wings. So Dvau Suparna can mean one bird with two wings. Etymological meaning, okay, one bird with two wings, or it can mean two birds, both, right? So Paranam can also mean wings. Paranam can also mean the one who flies. So Shobhanam is pretty. So two beautiful birds or two bird with two beautiful wings. Now we will take the second one. So where does these two birds, what are they? One is Jivatma, one is Paramatma. And this Jivatma bird, where does it fly to? It travels from Loka to Loka, right? Jivatma goes from Loka to Loka, birth to birth, birth to rebirth. And this is being, compared to the bird flying from branch to branch. What about the second bird? The Paramatma bird travels along with the Jivatma. What is the purpose of the Paramatma bird flying with the Jivatma bird? Because when the Jivatma is flying, he is doing karma. And who is the karma phaladata? It is the Paramatma. And therefore, the Paramatma bird travels along with the Jivatma for delivering the karma phala. So Jivatma travels as karma phala bhokta, the experiencer of the karma phalam, and Paramatma travels as the karma phala data. Okay, so this comparison is based on what is common, both are flying, right? Paramatma travels, Jivatma travels, both travel, and therefore this comparison is there. Jivatma travels as karma phala bhokta, Paramatma travels as karma phala data. Okay, so in that meaning, because both are traveling together, in that meaning, you have one wing as Jivatma and one wing as Paramatma. And what is common? The flying. Okay. Now there is a second meaning. So there are two birds. Okay, one is Jivatma, one is Paramatma. In the earlier meaning, one wing was Jivatma, the other wing was Paramatma. And that comparison is because the comparison is based on the idea that both are traveling. So when the bird travels, both the wings travel. Hence the common idea there is traveling or flying. But here, in the second meaning, he says, Samanam Vriksham. They are both sitting on the same tree. Therefore, here the comparison is there, but the comparison is based on the location of both the birds. Both the birds are located in the same tree, right? The Jivatma bird is also in one tree. The Paramatma bird is also in one tree. The tree here refers to the body, physical body of the Jiva. The comparison may seem similar, but the main idea is that in the earlier comparison, the commonality was the flying, the travel, while here the comparison, the commonality is the common location. Okay. Be it way, you can take either way. I'm just giving you because Shankara has given both the meanings. But if you want to make it easy, you can take the common meaning of two birds on one tree. And Sayuja. Sayuja means they are always together. So they are sitting on the same tree. So Sayuja is Sarvada, always together. Jivatma and Paramatma cannot be separated. Why? One is OC, one is RC. There is no RC possible without the OC and the RM. One is Adhara Chaitanyam, the substratum, the OC. One is Abhasa Chaitanyam, the reflected Chaitanyam, the RC. And Sakhaya, they are friends. They are always together, they are friends. And Sakhaya is why Shankara says both they are friends means what? Friends have similar things. You can't be friends with people who are completely opposite to you, right? So these have similar features. What is the similar feature? Shankara adds over here, both manifest through the same medium. In the sense, both can be recognized through only one medium, the same medium. What is that? The Anatma, the body, mind, sense complex. Sakhaya means that both have common features. Both Paramatma and Jivatma, both the OC and the RC, they can be recognized only in the presence of the body, mind, sense complex. Sakhaya. And what are they doing? Samanam Vriksham Parishasvajate. So Vriksham, Samanam Vriksham, the same tree, the same physical body. Okay. Now here again, Shankara adds carefully that normally we say physical body, the gross body, Sthula Shariram, is the support for Sukshma Shariram. That is okay as far as RC is concerned. But here, as far as OC is concerned, you cannot take the meaning of the body being the support for OC. Why?
Hello, Ravi.
Anji.
There are several reasons, One is dependent, independent. Now, even after the body goes, the OC remains.
Correct.
So if you can say support, then it should not be in existence.
Absolutely. So that's a very good reason. So when you say here that sitting on the same tree, you're saying physical body is supporting, it is supporting the RC because Sukshma Shariram needs physical body to stay there. But here, because OC cannot be given that meaning, you have to say that body is serving as medium for manifestation of Paramatma. You can recognize the Paramatma only in the body, and which is why we said Sayuja, Sakhaya. They are have common features. Now, why is the body compared to a tree? So Shankara says very simple. The tree can be destroyed, the human body can be destroyed, and therefore there is a commonality, there is a common feature. That is why comparison is there. Any comparison means there is a common feature. And what kind of tree is this? So Shankara supplies a description, which I will read to you. It should trigger a memory. Ayam hi vrikshaha, this tree, urdhva moolo avakshakaha, ashwathaha. What does it mean?
Sir, I have not done that chapter, but
It's
while
in Bhagavad Gita.
chanting, Tanmayji said upside down, free. I don't remember, I don't know the details, but this is
Talking
coming to my
about
mind.
about
That's
the
all.
Ashwatha tree, where
Talking
the roots
So
are
it's a
extending both
it's a reference to 15th chapter Bhagavad Gita, where he talked about
Right.
urdhva moolam, that the
Yes.
trunk is up, and avakshakaha, other shakaha, the branches are down. Okay. And he says ashwathaha. It is the ashwathaha tree. Now, ashwathaha tree, the word ashwathaha itself has a meaning, which we explained in the 15th chapter. Do you remember what it was? What is the meaning of the word ashwathaha is? Nobody remembers. Okay. The meaning was shvaha natishtati. Shvaha is tomorrow. That shvaha natishtati iti ashwathaha. That which will not remain for tomorrow, that is ashwathaha. Which means what? Anityam. It comes and goes. Okay, so that is the particular meaning of that tree. And why is it taken like this? Because you are saying the body is the tree. So shvahana tishtati. Body is anityam. It will come and go. Ashwatha tree is also anityam. Okay. Now when we say, and Shankara adds here, this is born from Brahman. Okay. Moola prabhavaha. He's born from the main cause. Which brings us to a question. When I say something is born, the body is born, for example. Or let us take the world itself. Jagat is born when I say, what should I say? Jagat is born from Brahman, or Jagat is born from Maya, or Jagat is born from both? What is the correct statement?
from both. Brahman as the Vivarta Upadan Karanam and Maya as the Parinami Upadan Karanam.
Right. So both are correct. You can say, if you're using only Brahman, then you have to say Brahman is Vivarta Upadana Karanam. If you're using only Maya, you have to say Maya is Parinami Upadana Karanam. If you're using both, you say Vivarta Parinami Upadana, Abhinna Vivarta Parinami Upadana Karanam. Non-different. Okay. Okay. And Shankara says this body is called a Kshetram. All very interesting words. Kshetram is what? Field. What do you do in a field? You can sow the rice and you can harvest it also. And that is why the body is called a Kshetram, a field, because you sow the karma and you experience the karma also in the same field. Okay. Very nice explanation of why tree is called the body. Okay. And therefore he says, not only that, this tree itself, or the Jagat itself, he says is dependent upon the Sarva Karma Prani or Sarva Prani Karma. The universe is dependent upon the karma of all beings. Because if beings had no karma, there would be no necessity for the universe to be born. Okay, so that is as far as the tree and the birds are concerned. Now look at the third line. He says, Tayoho, we have to break up that word. Tayoho anyaha pipalam swadvati. Tayoho, out of those two birds, anyaha, one of them, pipalam swadati. Eats the pipalam, eats the fruit. Ati means eat. Pipalam ati, swad, with relish, with taste. So two birds are sitting on the tree. The same tree it is. Tayoho anya pipalam swadvati. One of the birds is happily with a lot of taste eating the fruits of the tree. And pipalam is actually the fruit of the Ashwatha tree. Okay, so a pipal tree. And what kind of fruits are they? So Shankara adds, karma nishpannam sukham dukham. Fruits like sukham and dukham. Nishpannam means which are born from karma. So karma nishpannam sukham dukham. These are trees which are in this Ashwatha tree. Which means what? This Jivatma is doing karma and experiencing the pleasure and pain which are karma phalam. Okay. Now, remember one more thing. There is the Sukshma Shariram. Jivatma, when we say the primary body in our mind is what? Sukshma Shariram. Because Sthula Shariram is okay, but Sthula Shariram is temporary. But Sukshma Shariram lasts for a much longer time. And the traveling Jivatma, post the death of the physical body, is only Sukshma Shariram. And that Sukshma Shariram has another name. It's called Linga Shariram. Okay, the person who has got a Linga Shariram. And what is this Linga Shariram? So Shankara defines again, all very, very important concepts, okay, which you will not find anywhere else. What is Linga Shariram? That Linga Shariram is the Ashraya, is the supporter, the vessel, which carries what? Avidya, Kama, Karma, Vasana. So your Sukshma Shariram, it's carrying what? Basically, avidya born kama, avidya born karma, and vasana. So two words are used over here. Karma phalam and vasana. So remember that karma gives always two results. One is the dukham sukham which you will experience. And one is the vasana. The one vasana is a mental thinking pattern, which you can translate as a habit, right? For example, let us say that you, to give an example of the difference, you begin to smoke, God forbid, you begin to smoke, right? That smoking over a period of time, it gives two results. One is the damage to your body, that is a phalam, right? The other is that you cannot do without smoking anymore. That is thinking pattern, the habit which you have formed. So karma always gives two results, the phalam, sukham dukham, and the vasana, the habit. What is the difference between the two in terms of affecting you?
The craving comes from the habit, the vasana.
No, what is the effect on you?
One
jiva.
will end when the body ends, but the other one, the habit will stay with us.
It affects the
Yeah.
It's the vasana.
Just
the
think about it a bit.
Rasa varjam, that craving.
Anybody wants to contribute? There is a very important difference.
Sir, I think one affects
Physical and
the personality and the other affects the karta personality.
Yeah, Ritu, can you repeat that? I don't think everybody heard.
Acharya ji, I think it is that one affects the bhokta personality and the other affects the karta personality.
Very good. So,
Hmm.
the karma phalam, remember, you experience it. And therefore, you are a bhokta as far as karma phalam is concerned. What about the vasana? You don't experience it directly. But the vasana, because it's a habitual thinking pattern, it will affect what you do. Your karma and future it defines. It influences your karma and future. And therefore, vasana affects the future karma, which will again generate two results. Karma phalam and vasana. Okay. That's why vasana ashraya. That linga shariram, that sukshma shariram supports, is the supporter of, is the vehicle, is the vessel where your karma, your karma phalam, your vasana, all born of avidya, they reside. Okay, again we should note that this idea of karma phalam we have not seen in Tattva Bodha, nor have we seen in Bhagavad Gita. I may have discussed this in other concepts, in other classes, but this concept is a refinement on the idea presented in Tattva Bodha or in Bhagavad Gita. That there is karma phalam produces, is of two types. The sukham dukham karma phala and the vasana karma phala. Okay, so that you have to remember. Some context or other we have discussed. Okay, what about this Paramatma bird? So we said Anyaha Pipalam Swadvati. One bird eats the fruits, and all the discussion was in respect of that Jivatma bird. What about the Paramatma bird? Anyaha, so again, we break up properly. Anyaha Anashnan Abhichakashiti. Anyaha Anashnan Abhichakashiti. Anyaha, the other bird, which is the Paramatma bird. The bird which is distinct from the Jivatma bird. Abhichakashiti. He is a witness. He just looks on. He is, and what does he do? Anashna. Anashna. Anashnan. He does not eat. Therefore, he is abhokta. He does not eat. He is not doing anything. Abhichakashiti. He is akarta. Two words are important. Anashnan, abhichakashiti, akarta, abhokta. Right? And this anyaha, this other bird, this Paramatma bird, what is his nature? So Shankara says, anyaha equals the other one. The other one means the one who is not a Jivatma and therefore who is Ishvara. And what is his nature? Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta. Nitya Swabhavaha, Shuddha Swabhavaha, Buddha Swabhavaha, Mukta Swabhavaha. So Nitya Swabhava means that other bird is eternal. Shuddha Swabhavaha means the other bird is pure. Mukta Swabhava means the other bird is always free. Buddha Swabhavaha means he is always wise. So you can take it, you can also add Nitya to each one of these. Nitya Shuddha, Nitya Buddha, Nitya Mukta. Ever pure, ever wise, ever free. This is the nature of Ishvara. And Sarvagnyaha, all knowing. And very important again, Sarva Sattva Upahadi Ishvara. This Ishvara has got a Upadi. Why? Because he is also consciousness which is qualified by something. Qualified by what? By Maya Upadi. Ishvara is Brahman plus Maya. So Brahman qualified by Maya is Ishvara. So the very important concept he adds over here, Sattva Guna Upadi. So when you say Ishvara is got Maya Upadi, you are saying that Ishvara has got Sattva Guna Pradhana Maya Upadi. And in other texts. In fact, in a text called Panchadashi, there's a very famous Acharya called Vidyaranya. He gives the difference between Maya and Avidya, right? Because both terms we use. One term is used as a upadhi for Ishvara, which is Maya. The word Avidya is never used as a upadhi for Jiva. We say Avidya Pradhana Jiva. And therefore, Vidyaranya says that the same Maya is called Avidya. But in the case of Ishvara, the Maya is predominantly Sattva Gunaha. In the case of Jiva, the Maya is predominantly Rajo Gunaha. All important concepts you should keep in mind. For Jiva, the Upadhi is Maya, but Rajoguna Pradhana Upadhi, Pradhana Maya, and therefore you call it by a different name called Avidya. In Ishvara, it is Sattva Guna Pradhana Maya. We call it Maya. And what does this bird do? Na ashnati. He does not eat. He does not experience. He doesn't do anything. He is a witness, akarta, abhokta. What is his job then? His job is connecting the bhokta to the karma phalam, connecting the jivatma to the jagat. And remember that we have Vishwa three levels of jivatma: Vishwa, Tajasa, Prajna, and three prapanchas we got: Virat, Hiranya Garbha, and Antaryami. Ishvara's job is connecting Vishwa to Virat, Tajasa to Hiranya Garbha, Prajna to Antaryami. They have to be connected properly. And this is the job of the Paramatma. Then there is a question again. If you say this is the job of the Paramatma, are you not saying he is a karta? So Shankara says no. Why? Sannidhi matrena. Because of his presence alone, these things happen. He only witnesses. But because of his presence alone, the other is active. Without this Paramatma bird, the Jivatma bird cannot do anything. Even though the Paramatma bird does not perform any actions. So he says, Abhichakashiti is to be taken as not seeing. So earlier I used the word Abhichakashiti means he sees, he witnesses. But Shankara says, no, don't say that, because witnessing is an action. And therefore, Pasyati eva, he says, only as if he is witness. He doesn't actually do any job of witnessing, only as if he is witnessing, right? But remember, Pashyati is a verb. And Shankara wants to be very, very sure about the fact that we have understood. So he gives an example. He says, just as if you are a king, then just by your being in the court, everybody starts to work, right? You are not doing anything. You are only being there. You're being present there. In the same way, by being present in the physical body, the Paramatma is simply present in the physical body as what? As Sakshi. And the Jivatma is present as what? As Ahankara. And with that distinction, one is the Akarta Abhokta Sakshi, one is the Karta Bhokta Ahankara. Both the birds, they remain in the body. Okay. So with this, we'll stop for today. Any questions? Okay, fine. So with this, we'll stop. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Om
Shanti, Shanti,
Shanti
Shanti.
Om Tat Sat Om Namah
Om
Shivaya
Namah Shivaya. Thank you, Acharya.
Om Om.
Thank you.
Ji.